Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome each and every one of you to a new League of Legends video. So today we're going to be taking yet another look at the PBE server because Riot is just throwing out changes after changes. There are a bunch of reworks and just really big changes happening to many champions, some of them of course being larger than others. But it seems like Riot is not done just yet because they've released a few more big changes to where you can even almost call them a rework. So I thought I'd go over those on top of also talking about the rework happening to VAYNE and her ultimate. So as usual, if you guys end up enjoying this video, then definitely hit that like button, but let us not waste any more time and get right into the changes. Now, I actually want to start talking about Janna because there are a ridiculous amount of changes happening to this champion. Now, at the very moment, Janna is known to be arguably the best support in the entire game and easily one of the best champions in the entire game as well. This on top of just Ardent Sensor still being a pretty damn good item, Janna is very strong. But she's also kind of looked down upon in terms of just how easy yet how effective she is at the exact same time. So the intent of the Janna changes are as follows, as quoted by a writer. The goal for Janna is that she doesn't succeed as easily in lane as a shield spammer, but has more offensive tools to make things happen early. So in other words, just trying to make Janna a little bit more, I guess, skill oriented. So let's talk about the changes. So the first of which are going to be just basic number tweaks that are just kind of to her base stats. As you can see, her base AD has been lowered, her HP per level has been lowered, her base HP has actually been increased by 13, which isn't too bad. Her attack range has actually been increased by almost 100, which I don't really understand why. That is pretty insane. That's a lot of attack range increase. Her base movement speed has been lowered by just a bit. Her AD per level has been lowered, but her basic attack missile speed has actually been increased by 400 from 12 to 1600. So even from just that alone, you can already tell something kind of wacky is going to be happening with Janna, right? I mean, those are some pretty interesting changes, definitely kind of making things more spicy with the champion. But let's go into the changes to her passive first. So first off, the movement speed has actually been lowered by 3%, and Janna always benefits from Tailwind's speed increase. But it has a new effect, and this is where things get pretty damn wacky. Additionally, Janna's basic attacks deal bonus magic damage equal to 35% of her bonus movement speed. Now, I'm not entirely sure what to think of this. I mean, I can see people playing Janna top lane as some kind of bruiser, move speed oriented champion and actually being quite effective. I mean, it's weird. That is just, they're completely changing the way Janna is almost played. I mean, her passive giving her bonus attack damage based on movement speed, getting an increase in attack range by a lot, increasing the attack missile speed. It's like they want Janna to be some kind of weird new bruiser supporting top lane attack speed oriented champion. So how this is going to reflect in the build that you run, especially when playing Janna support, is what I'm very curious about. But obviously it doesn't end there just yet, because as we move on to her Q, Howling Gale, the mana cost on this ability has been lowered, the cooldown has been changed to 12 at all ranks, which is a buff and a nerf. The base range on the Q ability has actually been increased by 150, the bonus range per second charge has been lowered by 10%, but it has a new effect as well. Howling Gale always reaches its destination in 1.5 seconds. I feel like Riot is just going to town on Janna, but I like it. I actually really do like it. I feel like they're definitely trying to make her a little bit more, I guess, skill oriented, really putting the kind of skill ceiling or the skill cap on the champion, so you can't just be sitting in the back, essentially being a Soraka with the shield instead and just doing work, and you don't have to even do anything. Just get Ardent Sensor, put the shield on your ADC, and as long as you haven't lost lane, you probably won the game already. But now, Janna, if you want to make use of her, which you definitely can, and there's a lot more tools to make use of her with offensively, you can make some serious things happen. But we're not done yet, obviously, because we still have her W to talk about. Now, the range on her W has actually been lowered by 50, which really isn't all that bad, because apparently Repertoire, a writer, noted that this is from 600 center to center to 550 edge to edge. The cooldown has been increased from 12 seconds at all ranks to 15.5 seconds at rank 1, but going all the way down to 9.5 seconds by rank 5, which again is a nerf early, it's a buff late game. But the passive effect of Zephyr, where you get bonus movement speed for Janna while the W is not on cooldown, has actually been lowered at the earlier ranks, but it still ramps up to 17% by rank 5, again a nerf early, a pretty decent buff late game, I guess, technically now, if it synergizes with their passive. Now, last but definitely not least, there's a nerf, a pretty decent nerf actually for the laning phase to Janna on her E ability, because the cooldown now, instead of being 10 at all ranks, which was kind of ridiculous that it even was, is now 18 at rank 1. That's almost double the cooldown, which is pretty damn insane. but it still goes down to 10 seconds by rank 5, so very big nerf early, but it'll be the same late game. But this is a really good nerf to her E ability because at the moment, having her E ability up so often in the laning phase makes it almost impossible to trade and even win or come on top out of the trades against a Janna support. But now, whenever you use your E ability as Janna on your ADC or even yourself for either the bonus damage or to protect one of you two from just the damage you take, you have to use it much more, I guess, sparingly. So there you guys have it, a pretty big Janna rework in my honest opinion. I feel like this will definitely change the way you want to play her. Let me know what you think about it down below. There's a lot of things to talk about, so let's just move on to the next change I want to talk about, which is going to be to VAYNE's ultimate. So VAYNE also received some significant changes on the PBE server. Now go them from the beginning to the end, the first of which being towards her Q ability, where now the bonus damage on her Q has actually been increased to 70% of her total AD by rank 5 rather than 50%, so a 20% increase at every single rank, but her Q bonus damage no longer able to crit. This is obviously pretty important because a lot of the things people do now on VAYNE is they stack crit, they get items like Static Shiv or Rapid Fire Cannon or whatever, and they just tumble in, Q someone, deal a lot of damage with the bonus damage, the crit from like Static Shiv, the Infinity Edge, and it's kind of annoying to face. But now that that's no longer possible, but it scales off of more total AD, there's a decent chance you may see VAYNE going for the Bork into the Bloodthirster build once again, kind of an old school build for VAYNE. Following this, however, there's some changes happening to her W, where the true damage on it has actually been lowered at the earlier ranks, but still going up to 12% by the final rank of the ability, but the minimum true damage has been increased by 10 damage at every single rank. Again, a nerf in the earlier laning phase, but it'll be relatively the same, if not even slightly stronger by the time you get it to rank 5. But finally, her ultimate Final Hour, it has a new effect. The duration of Final Hour is extended by 4 seconds whenever a champion damaged by VAYNE dies within the last 3 seconds. Kind of got a very similar feel to Katarina's passive, just almost in the reverse kind of way. Rather than reducing cooldowns, you just get the ability for that much longer. So this is actually pretty cool, and I kind of like this change. I mean, if I was a VAYNE player, I would actually really like this, and the reason for that is because if you use your ultimate properly at the right time and don't just waste it, and you actually do well, you know, you clean up fights or you're doing your thing, you can actually play VAYNE as much more of an assassin, you know? Maybe come into the fight a little bit late, or just kind of do some standard DPS in the back, and then once people are low, bam, you pop that ultimate, you just tumble in there invisibly, and you start going off. And every time you kill someone, you just keep increasing the duration on your ultimate, you keep getting that extra movement speed from your passive that your ultimate offers, and you just keep chasing them down and just being really hard to stop. So I feel like they're definitely making her more assassin-like, where if you use the abilities at the right time, you'll get so much more rewards versus using it at somewhat of a mediocre time, if not even a bad time, to where you really won't get the full effect or the full use of the ability. Now following this, I actually want to talk about Caitlyn, because Caitlyn also received some very large changes on the PBE server as well. At the moment, Caitlyn is actually a pretty bad ADC. She went from being among the top 3 consistently to being among the bottom 3 consistently. Now the intent that Riot has for the changes that Caitlyn is receiving, as quoted by a writer, are as follows. The goal for Caitlyn is to return a lot of her offensive power, make her fragile in the early game, but carve out the mid game a bit. So first, some very basic number tweaks. Her HP per level has been increased. Her base HP, however, has been lowered by quite a bit actually, from 524 to 450. I'm not sure how I feel about that. But her base attack speed has been increased, which isn't too bad actually. The attack speed per level has been increased by double. The basic attack delay has been lowered, and the base HP regeneration has also been lowered, which kind of sucks. So definitely getting a lot more scaling within her overall kit, but definitely getting a little bit weaker in the laning phase. Next up, let's talk about the changes to her passive. Now, attacks for free headshot has actually been increased from 6 to 8, which is an even bigger hit in the earlier parts of the game, because not having too much attack speed will make getting those 8 auto attacks to get that free headshot substantially longer. But as the game goes on, late game especially, once you have more attack speed, once your actual base attack speed that's just been buffed and just, you know, really kicks in, it won't really make too much of a difference, but it's still a nerf nonetheless. However, it now works on turrets, so her laning power in terms of pushing in towers is going to be a little bit better. Following this, however, the damage on her Q ability in terms of the damage it deals beyond the first target has been changed to only dealing 33% less damage to targets beyond the first, rather than a total of 50, which is a lot better, and pushing in waves with your Q or landing Qs in teamfights on several people will just feel a little bit stronger. And finally, her W also received some changes to where now the mana cost has been increased from 20 at all ranks to 30 at all ranks, which obviously will also affect the early parts of the game, not so much mid to late game. Headshot damage has been increased by quite a bit actually, a total of 50 extra damage rank 5 and even 30 by rank 1, which is pretty generous in itself. The AD has been changed from 60% total AD to up to 100% bonus AD. Also giving it much more power in the late game, even maybe the mid game, but a lot less power in the earlier parts of the game since you'll have very minimal scaling on this ability. But that is of course definitely made up with her W's new base damage, so I feel like overall it's a buff. Following that, the trap ground duration has been lowered from 90 seconds to up to 70 seconds by rank 5, but only 30 seconds by rank 1. The recharge time has been lowered, and the vision duration has also been lowered by quite a bit. And last but not least, there's one change happening to Brand that can be very impactful as well, because he got a new effect on his W, where now he regains up to 14 mana for each unit killed by this ability. So pushing in the lane for Brand might be a lot more effective now, because your mana will be just so much more conservative, and that could be a really big thing for a champion like Brand that tends to run out of mana fairly quickly. So there you guys have it, some pretty massive changes happening on the PvE server, but don't forget this isn't all of the changes, right? There's obviously the rework happening to Xin, there's the rework that happened to Azira, both of which I made actually 4 videos in total about, so definitely check those out if you haven't. I'm not gonna cover them here because it'll make the video just way too long. But either way, Riot is releasing quite a bit of changes already right before the preseason itself hits, so get ready for a bunch of changes coming to League of Legends. But let me know what you guys think about these changes down in the comments section underneath the video. I want to hear your thoughts on it, especially towards Janna and VAYNE. If you did enjoy the video, then definitely hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, share the video with your friends, but I thank all of you so much for watching, and I'll see you for the next video. Peace.